Hello, this is Kellie Copeland. I'm the Executive Director at NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio, and I have the privilege of getting to work with Representative Antonio. And I just have to tell you, her work on the ground and her leadership against these assaults has been inspirational, truly. As Representative Antonio mentioned, our state suffers a completely anti-choice government as a result of the 2010 election. Ohio women have absolutely no firewall to protect them from these extreme anti-choice lawmakers that Representative Antonio has to serve with. And they have introduced attacks that go far beyond anything that we've seen in Ohio in the past. Back in '06, Ohio tried to outlaw abortion, so when I say this is unprecedented, that really means something. So far this legislative session, NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio has had to combat 7 devastating anti-choice measures. And we know from comments from the leadership at Ohio Right to Life that they're just getting started. So far, though, the most dramatic of these bills is the so-called heartbeat ban. I'm sure many of you have heard about that already. This bill would ban abortion care at a point in pregnancy when many women don't even know that they're yet pregnant. The politicians and groups behind this extreme bill have clearly been more interested in capturing national headlines than discussing how to improve women's access to health care or creating good jobs. When the bill was pending before the House Health Committee, anti-choice lawmakers allowed fetuses to testify before the panel, and they defeated numerous amendments that would have included amendments to improve women's health, to create exceptions. All of those were defeated out of hand. And in another, what I thought was particularly insulting move, is initially this same committee refused to allow us to present video testimony from a woman who had to make the profound personal decision to terminate a pregnancy, in her case, to save her life. And she wanted to testify in regards to legislation that would effectively ban abortion in Ohio after 20 weeks. Had that legislation been in effect, she very likely would have died during her pregnancy. The problem with this legislation, or the problems with this legislation, are many. It starts with having unclear and inconclusive viability testing requirements at 20 weeks. But it goes further than that to exclude any mental health exceptions, no exceptions for rape or incest. And the health exception that's included in this bill is barely enough to protect any of the 600 women in Ohio each year who would be impacted by this incredibly dangerous legislation. It's often that anti-choice extremists use states as laboratories, especially Ohio, to try to test how far they can push their attacks. And we have a message for those anti-choice lawmakers, and they need to hear us loud and clear. Ohio women are not your test subjects. That's why NARAL Pro-Choice Ohio is working night and day to make sure that pro-choice lawmakers replace these anti-choice extremists, their relentless efforts to attack a woman's right to choose are wildly out of step with the values and priorities of Ohioans. And we're working to bring our government back in line with Ohio values.